Global Witness, and then I got involved in the seminar at Art.
I don't know if this one's on.
And that was can't keep it straight. But
You ready?
Oh, maybe Warren can get it.
If you're ready to go,
Yeah, we're ready.
we're here. No? That one.
Okay. Well, he was going to do opening prayer.
Up here?
Yeah. Oh, you hold it. Okay.
church going any day to do them.
Good afternoon, everybody. Glad to see you. It's not what? You can't hear me? We're just going to use our, there you go. All right. So we're going to learn about simple remedies for serious ailments this evening. And we're just going to close our eyes for a few minutes and have a word of prayer as we get started. Dear Father, forgive us for our sins and thank you for bringing us out here today. And send your Holy Spirit to give us all the knowledge and the transformation that you want us to have from you. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. Our seminar leader this evening is Sharon Dorough. She's our resident health and wellness coach, and she is the health and temperance leader for Stone Tower Seventh-day Adventist Church. And without further ado, here she is, Sharon.
Thank you all for coming. So let's get started. Let's jump past it. Okay. So that's our little medical disclaimer that we have to show before we get started. What we're going to cover today is specifically, so this is about simple remedies for serious ailments. Of course, we can't cover every single serious ailment. So we're going to cover the heart, we're going to cover the brain illnesses, and we're going to cover cancer as some of the more serious ones. Before we get started, so this is the third installment this year that we've done, and I want to recap a few things quickly before we get started. So the first thing is vital force. This was the first one that we talked about, and this was in January. And so vital force, as you can see here, vital force is the energy that powers your body, it powers your brain, it makes your heart beat. We're all born with a finite amount of vital force.
Yes.
So, and those of you who were here before, we're all born with that finite amount. And we talked about when Adam and Eve was created, they had infinite amount. God was constantly putting it in, so they never ran out. With the introduction of sin, of course, oh, I skipped one. Here we go. With the introduction of sin, we had that hole in the bucket. So there's that hole in the bucket. So always think about that vital force that we each have as a hole in the bucket. You can slow that leak down by what you do or what you don't do in life. So if you do a lot of wrong things, that hole gets bigger and bigger. Your vital force empties, and then death occurs. You can slow it down. So physical constitution, we also talked about that in January as well. Some of us have very strong constitutions. Everybody knows someone who doesn't get sick no matter what. They're strong physically. People like this, my dad was someone like this, never got sick, ever. It didn't matter what was going on. They're very, very strong. But people who have this constitution, they have a tendency to squander it. And so a lot of times you'll find that people who have strong constitutions don't live as long because they squander that vital force. Remember, we still have that finite force. And so they can squander it, and then they can end up still dying prematurely because they squander it. Most of us have average constitutions. Most of us will fall in that category where we get sick, and then so we have to kind of pay attention. And then we have people with weaker constitutions, and we talked about that in January, that as we get older, we all get closer to a weaker constitution. So we have to be more careful as we get older because our constitution is weaker. And people who have naturally weaker constitutions their whole life A lot of times we talked about that they live a long time. Some of these people make it to 100 years old because they're more in tune with their body, so they're more careful, and they use it more slowly, so their vital force leak is a lot slower, and so they can live a long time. So just because you have a strong constitution doesn't automatically guarantee a long life, and just because you have a weaker constitution doesn't guarantee you have a shorter life.
Amen.
So the installment that we did in March was on the use of drugs. And so these are some of the statements from drugs. We won't go into all the details of drugs, but basically, drugs shortens the life. The Spirit of Prophecy talks about that. It says drugs administered to the sick does not restore, it destroys, it doesn't cure, it places the system seeds of basically death. So we want to learn how to take care of our bodies and heal our bodies naturally. So let's get started. And I wanted to start with this text. And it says, without faith it is impossible to please him, for he that comes to God must believe that he is, and that he is a rewarder of them that diligently seek him. That's Hebrews 11:6. And I put this in here because if we don't have faith in the natural remedies, we're not going to use it. We're going to know about it, but if you still go use the drugs or still do everything else without first having faith in it, then it doesn't avail you anything. Noah and his family were saved because they went into the ark. They could have believed in the ark, but if had not gone in, it would not have worked for them, right? So let's start. This is a demonstration, so it's going to be a lot of interaction. I want a lot of people to talk. Daniel has the mic, so he'll bring it around. So let's start. Let's start with the heart. So simple remedies for heart issues. We're going to talk about what you do in acute cases of heart attack. High blood pressure is included in that, congestive heart failure, and heartbeat irregularities. So for all heart issues, of course, all the supplements and herbs are not going to help you if we don't stop smoking, stop drinking, stop eating pork, shellfish, and other unclean animals, which are not food. The Bible is clear on that. People say unclean foods. It's actually not even a food. God didn't create it to be eaten. For heart issues, you would have to stop drinking coffee, green tea, black tea, energy drinks, stop eating anything that's hydrogenated or partially hydrogenated, so you have to look at those ingredients. And you have to try to lose weight. And finally, find a way to de-stress your life and start working with your physician to get lower use or eliminate drugs. So this is the natural protocol for heart attacks. And so let's talk about this one. So this one, of course, if you feel a heart attack, and remember also that for women, heart attacks are going to feel a little bit differently. Women don't get those intense pangs like a man might have, but you'll still have that kind of radiating pain. So the first thing you do is you call 911, or you ask someone that's nearby to call 911. And you may have 10 seconds before you lose consciousness in a heart attack. So the step 2 is super important. You want to start coughing repeatedly and vigorously, very deep, very long from your diaphragm. So you're basically coughing very deep here, and you want to take in a deep breath between each cough and then repeat that every 2 seconds. And it's recommended that you do this until an ambulance comes. And if you have cayenne pepper, immediately take a half a teaspoon of cayenne pepper in a glass of water. Of course, don't sip, just toss it back and just drink it. Any questions on this one? Yeah.
Sometimes you don't have water, just put it under your tongue if you got it.
You can, that does work too.
Because it goes directly to the blood system and
Yeah.
everything like that. If you don't have no water.
Yeah, so if you don't have water, you can absolutely do that.
Sometimes you just have to drop it back. You may get the whole bottle, but at least you're
Alive.
alive.
Yeah. Okay. Any questions on the heart attack protocol? All right. So These are the most effective natural remedies. And so some of these are herbs, some of these are supplements. And so a word about supplements. So there's a lot of people who, I don't take anything and I don't take vitamins and I get all my nutrition. The food is completely denatured in our time. So in our grandparents' and grandparents' time, they could have probably just gotten away with just the food. Our food is very denatured from the farming practices. That's the reason why, how many people here know someone who eats healthy, was a vegetarian or vegan, and they got sick or they died of some disease? Almost everybody does. I do. Now, why is that? It's the food. So we have to supplement, and supplement means you're supplementing, you're putting in nutrients that are now missing from the foods. So I just kind of want to make that clear that we're talking about supplements, we're not talking about drugs, but a lot of supplements are concentrated forms of, like, for instance, the hawthorn extract. So the hawthorn is one of the best herbs for the heart. It's a calming herb. So this one here, I'm going to pass that around. So Hawthorn Supreme, Gaia makes one of the best ones. It's a liquid extract. It's very good for the heart. It creates that cellular energy. To me, that's one of the best ones. There's other ones that you can use that are capsules that are the dried one. I think the liquid extract in that one is probably the best one to use.
Where do you get them at? Because I see you're passing around the brand, but being able to access the item will be helpful, because
So all of these supplements, well, the majority of these supplements you can get locally. You can get them from Whole Foods. You can get them from New Seasons. You can get them from natural grocers. And you can order them from Amazon, most of them.
Okay.
So the next one is hibiscus tea. And this one, it's just plain old hibiscus tea. If anyone grew up in any kind of a tropical area, this hibiscus grows everywhere, all over. And so it's kind of interesting that, like, I did know about it when I was younger, that, like, this was growing and this was for the heart. Yeah. And so it's a vasodilator, which means it helps that blood flow in your body, and it's as simple as just drinking. And so these are good, even if you don't have heart problems, that you can kind of just maintain your body and keep your body healthy, and just drinking a cup of hibiscus tea. So grapeseed extract. And this is obviously an extract from the grapeseed. Very good for lowering your blood pressure and improving blood flow. It's something that even Frank and I would use regularly. This is an empty bottle here. But you could see, I don't know if that brand is even still available anymore.
Yes, you can get it.
You can? Okay. Okay. Coenzyme Q10, that's a must if you have heart issues. This one is Country Life brand. Personally, I prefer Doctor's Best, which I actually order online. I'm trying to think if you can get that one at natural grocers. I don't think you can. But this coenzyme Q10, basically, this is what your body needs. And there's a lot of prescriptions and pharmaceuticals that people use that deplete this from the body, and then they end up with the heart issues. So if they're using certain drugs, they're going to want to have to take some of this and start replenishing their body with the CoQ10.
So our question is, where's this derived from? Where does it come from?
CoQ10, do you know?
I think when they make it in supplements like that, that they're getting it from some type of bacteria or yeast that they grow in the lab. So it's not, I don't think it comes from animals. It comes from just like something close to brewer's yeast, but they grow it in the lab. I think, I'm not
So it's
certain.
laboratory.
I believe that that's how they get enough of it to put in pills to sell it to you.
Okay.
It's still considered a natural thing.
A natural
It
product.
does occur naturally in foods like spinach,
Okay.
but it's in lower amounts. It's not in the dosage that you would use for a heart problem.
Okay. Thank you.
And a couple other ones, I don't have them in here. Magnesium has a very relaxing effect on the body. So a lot of times if someone is feeling palpitations, if they have some magnesium, they can actually just drink that and it'll calm the heart down. And motherwort is another one that also improves that cardiac activity and has a very calming effect on the heart. And you can find that one pretty much anywhere. It sells them in extracts and stuff like that. So high blood pressure protocol. So of course, sometimes we get stressed. As we get older, our blood pressure goes higher. That's normal. It's not something wrong as we get older. As we get older, blood pressure goes up. You don't want it, of course, to go sky high. So this is a protocol. I hope you could see it. It's a little bit smaller than I thought. I was trying to fit everything on there. So how many people can feel when their blood pressure actually goes up? Yeah. You can feel that kind of tightness here, and then the little pressure in the head. So when you feel that, one of the first things you can do to start alleviating that is you can drink 3 full glasses of water, cool water, taking a neutral bath. And do I have the temperature up there? Yeah. So the temperature up there is 97 degrees. So taking a neutral bath. So not cold, but not hot. And that evens out the temperature in the body. So it'll kind of pull that blood that's kind of piling up there in the head and kind of move it throughout the body. And of course, there's stress. So, I mean, I get stressed sometimes at work. The best thing to do, go for a walk. Just say I'm taking a break and just go for a nice brisk walk. So you don't want to take a slow stroll with this one. You want to kind of walk and then get the arms moving and get your body moving. And then the last one on here is basically kind of pushing in certain areas so that you kind of move that blood down. So basically, let's see, you put the fingertip right here. So this is your carotid. There's the Adam's apple, the carotid. Don't press it, unless you have a heart thing. So you press here, you hold for 5 slow counts, and then you release, you breathe deeply, and this is also calming you down. And the next thing, you locate the back ridge of your skull. So basically that little hollow point, and it'll feel really sore if you're having that pressure. And then you just hold it, and then you press it just gently, and you press it deeper and deeper, and then you kind of rub it, and then that will start to go away. And then the next slide, is, of course, is how do you reverse it? How do you start keeping it down? And I'm going to jump to the 4 stalks of celery. That's a good one. And an easy way to do this one also is just throw it in your blender with some water and just drink it. And that'll get it done right away. Yeah. Eating organic potato peel broth every day. That will help reduce your blood pressure. Watermelon seed tea. And I think you can buy this. I tried to look for it. I couldn't find it, and I kind of ran out of time. But that is definitely one that will help lower the blood pressure. And of course, we have the water, reducing the salt, of course, and keeping the body exercise and moving. Yes?
So this is another reason why you see the devil getting rid of seeds.
Yes. I thought about that because most watermelons don't have seeds anymore. So it's not like you could save it and grind it. So now you got to buy the seed separately.
Yeah, so it's basically, and so,
Oh, is it not working?
no,
It's not working. It wasn't working.
it's not working.
It is on.
It is?
Yeah, it's
It's on.
It's not working, no. It's okay. And so basically, I just want to say this is the reason why they're getting rid of seeds. And also, I think too, that's why you see also our elderly, back in the days, several generations, that lived longer, and they were also outdoors, fresh air, no TV, no internet, no cell phone.
The food was better.
And the food was organic.
It was, yeah.
Yeah,
And so,
way better.
so I'm just saying, seeds, so seeds are important.
Your grandma lived, all of my grandma's 96, 90.
So a couple other supplements that I don't have on there for the heart, for instance. This one's called BioRutin. Rutin is really good for the heart. I won't pass these around. And also B6, very good for cardiovascular, this is vitamin B6 as a supplement, and I'll leave them just out here. This one is a supplement. This one, when you take it with the hawthorn and the CoQ10, is going to have the strongest effect for your heart. So unless you're actually having heart issues, you wouldn't combine those together. And this is TMG, basically it's trimethylglycine. And it comes out of some natural compounds. You can find it in natural foods, but it's very concentrated and it's strong. So if you're actually having heart issues, it's basically the natural equivalent to what they would give you for like heart drugs and stuff like that. And so TMG is what it's called. Let's move on to the brain. So there's very few people who haven't been touched by dementia and Alzheimer's and basically the brain health. I mean, if you don't have use of your brain, it's a bad thing. My mom has severe Alzheimer's right now, and so we're dealing with that in my family. And it's awful. It's awful to see someone degrade in that way mentally, especially when you knew where they were. So taking care of our brains is just of absolute prime importance. Once again, for all brain issues, we have to stop smoking, stop drinking, stop eating the unclean animals, stop drinking coffee. Very important for the brain to find a way to de-stress, start working on lowering the use of drugs. And we're going to go into specific drugs that people use every day that are known to cause Alzheimer's and dementia. Reducing the use of electronic devices, not sleeping with your phone right there next to your head on, and start reading regular books. You know, reading Kindle and stuff like that, if you're on a plane, that's fine, but you have to start reading regular books. The electronic device, it really messes with the brain. So at what age should we start taking care of our brain?
Infancy. As soon as the baby's in there.
Yeah. Yeah, we seem to think that Alzheimer's and dementia is a disease of the elderly. It's not. You can see here, there's a 373% increase in Alzheimer's in folks aged 30 to 44.
Again, it's the food.
It's the food, but it's a lot of other things, and so that's a lot. That is a lot. So it's a fallacy to think that you've got time. We need to take care of our brains right now.
Well, can we get that one back again?
Yep,
Thank you, I'm slow.
got it?
Almost. Okay.
All right, so diet, lifestyle, herbs, and supplements. So for our brain, we want to start eating deep colored vegetables, meaning the deep green, the dark leafy vegetables, the dark orange, pumpkins, squash, those orange ones, those yellow ones, those purple cabbage, the dark colored vegetables, the deeply colored fruits, blueberries, strawberries, cherries, those dark cherries. Eating organic, that means less pesticide going into the body, less pesticide going into your brain. You have to eat healthy fats. So, and we're going to talk about this, the no fat. Your body does need fat. If you don't have it, your body will not assimilate certain nutrients, and then you're probably going to end up with a brain problem later on. Pomegranates. So, pomegranate. This is very good for the brain. Pomegranate juice. And if you can get it online, they actually sell pomegranate concentrate, which is even stronger. But, I mean, just start drinking it. I'll not lie to you, it's not the most pleasant juice.
It's very bitter.
So you might consider mixing it with something else. But it's very bitter, but it's very good for the brain. And, okay, so I'm gonna talk about the lifestyle. So, lights off. So one of the things that's different now in our time and our generation is the difference in lighting. So we used to have incandescent lights, and then they made this big deal how terrible it was for the environment. And while it was, the LED lights are absolutely toxic to the human body. And it's been known, there was studies done even at Harvard showing that LED lights permanently damages our retina and our brains.
Wow.
So lights off at night, and Frank and I do this a lot. Sometimes when the sun goes down, we don't turn on the lights. So we get everything that we have to do done, and then we just leave those lights off. And we tried to do that a couple times a week. I did a test one time, and I did it for, was it 2 weeks? It was about 2 weeks where I did it, and it was amazing. The difference that I saw the most was that my hands looked younger, which was the weird, my hands.
Wow.
Yeah, and it was just like the oddest thing. I was just like, it's kind of odd. I can see in the daytime. But so maybe start practicing that. You don't have to do it every single, we have to be practical. We know everybody has to live, but turning off those lights and keeping the lights off. If you have LED lights, it's very hard to find incandescent lights, but you can barely find them. And if you do still have them, maybe shade them so that you don't have that direct light hitting your eye and body. You can. I don't want to tell people to light candles and then they burn their house down. Yeah.
You have to watch what they're made of and
Yeah.
spread that.
So you want to exercise your body. You want to exercise your brain. So a lot of us, most of the stuff we do now is on a screen, scrolling. That's not exercising the brain. You want to read. You want to read something that kind of taxes your brain a little bit. You want to maybe do some kind of puzzles or something. You want to do something that makes you think and makes your brain think. You have to, just the way you exercise your body, you have to exercise your brain. Otherwise, just so your body can atrophy, your brain can atrophy.
Yes, it does.
You want to take care of your teeth. That's a big one. So your teeth, infection, it can go right up to your brain. It can affect your brain. And social interaction, this is a very big one, especially as we get elderly, because as we get elderly, we lose friends. That was one of the cases with my mom. My mom started coming down with this during the pandemic because my dad had died and she was alone. She was alone in that house for 2 years. Everyone was afraid of the virus, so nobody came to visit her. And so she was just completely isolated by herself. And every time I talked to her on the phone, she was just watching TV. That's all she did was just watch TV. And I think that was one of the things that happened to her there. So herbs, let's talk about, let me make sure I got the right one here. Brain herbs. So one of the, ashwagandha is an herb, and this was actually a lot of studies done on this one, excellent for the brain. It's a known herb for the brain. It's actually a supplement that originated in India. And it's what was it called? Ashwagandha. And it'll come around.
Ashwagandha.
Yeah. Other supplements for the brain, most people know B12 for the brain.
She wants to see that.
Oh, yeah. Omega fatty acids for the brain. This is one that we use in our house. It's an empty box. You can see it's all beat up. So this one, it's a mixture not just of the flax oil, but it also has the borage seed oil and all the other oils. And so it's a really good combination of oils. And you just basically take like a tablespoon a day or so. It doesn't taste as good as flax oil. There's a little bitterness to it because of the mixture.
Do you feel the difference, you and Frank?
So I wouldn't say that you're necessarily going to feel a difference or an uplift just because you take the oil. There's the difference with supplements is that it's going to have it's going to keep you where you are on an uplift. You're not going to feel like, it's not caffeine, like, oh, wow, I feel it. Now, there are some herbs that are stronger that you might feel that. This isn't one of them. So ginkgo biloba, and I thought I couldn't find that one. This one's really good for the brain. We use one called Gink Gold. What's the company? Do you remember? Nature's Way? Yeah, Nature's Way. You can pretty much get this one, I think, only at natural grocers or online on Amazon. Usually order us. Just buy the ginkgo leaves. Yeah. And that's one that's really safe to use. You can just drink it. Just make some ginkgo biloba tea and just drink it and just kind of keep that brain maintenance up. Lion's mane is a mushroom. How many know what lion manes look like? You just bought some? Yeah. Yeah, it's like a white shaggy looking mushroom. Looks like he has hair.
Fresh, I put in my dehydrator.
Yeah.
And I'm going to grind up and use for tea.
Yeah. So you can buy it fresh. You can buy it as a supplement. And I thought I had it. Yes.
I just wonder if you know, I heard there was a benefit to bouncing up and down on a trampoline.
Rebounding.
Yeah, rebounding. I just bought me one of those little trampolines, and what is the medical benefit, if you know?
Rebounding is good for cancer. And so we can get to that with the cancer one. So let's see, supplements. We talked about B12. Chelated copper, it's also good for, where are we on? We're on the brain. Yes. So a lot of people who get, what's it called? Aneurysms. They tend to be copper deficient. Wow. And a lot of people don't know that.
Our water pipes is made of
Brain aneurysms, they tend to be copper deficient. That's a mineral that's generally missing from a lot of our diets.
Yeah, it was a thing that was a common way to get water from the street to the house was through copper pipes. And now they've all gone to that PVC because copper wasn't good for us.
Right. So copper deficiencies, really good for stopping aneurysms. And this is just another of the oils. Another Indian herb that's also really good for mental alertness is called bacoba. This one, you have to use it for several months for you to start actually feeling the effects on the brain. But that's also a really good one. I don't think I have it up here.
So chelated copper?
Chelated.
How is it derived? How do they make it?
Oh, yeah.
How is chelated?
Chelated copper.
How is it derived? What is it derived from? Is it
I don't know where this comes from.
Chelated copper. How is it derived?
Unless Frank knows, I really don't know the answer to that.
Wasn't paying attention.
Can we get a mic?
Yeah,
When it works, rather.
it doesn't.
Do we
Try it.
have, okay.
There you go.
Okay, so you're asking about the chelated copper, and she was talking about the copper in the pipes. So copper and a lot of minerals or metals our body needs small amounts of to be healthy, but it needs to be either in a food that we eat or it needs to be blended with something. So the chelated copper is blended with the food substance that your body can absorb. So the chelated copper is slightly different from the type in those pipes.
So it wouldn't just go through you.
So it's not just going to go through you. Your body's going to break it apart and blend it with food. So you wouldn't want to get a bunch of those copper pipes, but a lot of people that get aneurysms, it turns out that they were deficient in this type of copper that you can get out of food. So that's what the chelated, does that answer your question?
No, so it was derived from what source, though? That's what I'm asking.
you would, in that case, have to ask the company where they got the initial mineral from.
And I don't
But
think it says on
they're
here.
mixing it with like an amino acid or something like that is what they're doing. So
This
the best
one
thing
is
is to call
called
the
Blue
company
Bonnet,
and ask them where it came from.
but Carlson sells it. You can get it from pretty much anyone. Just make sure it's a chelate. The bisinglate form of the chelate is the best one. All right, so it says we can prevent our brains from declining. One of the first things is we don't know where Alzheimer's and dementia comes from. Well, there's a reason why. So prolonged use of over-the-counter and pharmaceutical drugs have most definitely been implicated in that. You don't hear it publicized because the pharmaceutical industry is a really large industry, and that's where they make their money. So you're not going to hear about a lot of those things. So specifically, what playing a role in dementia and Alzheimer's, antihistamines, Benadryl. That's one of the main things that people use for allergies all the time, every time. That is an absolute indicator and an implication of getting Alzheimer's or dementia. And antihistamines, antidepressants, medications for irritable bowel syndrome, IBS, pain medications, and medications for overactive bladder.
Wow.
Those specific ones, known, studied to play a very large role in causing those. So if you're using some of these things, you might want to start working with your doctor to start getting off of those. And I know allergies is a really, really, really big thing, and I didn't bring it this time, but there's herbs that you can use that control allergies very, very well. Nettle is one of them. And you can find stuff in the grocery store. I think that I did bring, where is it? So this one, Aller DX, I've used this one. It works really well. I think this one has a lot of Chinese herbs in here. Yeah, it does. And so this one works actually really, really well. Yeah.
It works in minutes. Wow.
And it does. It works actually really, really well. You can feel your eyes starting to clear up. So you don't have to use Benadryl and the stuff that's going to cause brain issues later on. There's herbs. God has stuff for everything.
No, you
Oh, Mike. Yeah.
Now, you were saying about, that drugs are causing a lot of these side effects, but what about vaccines? How do they come into play with Alzheimer's and all those different things, or a loss of the control of the bladder?
So I can't say that I've known any studies specifically on that, but it does appear that the vaccines do play a part in dementia. Just because I've talked to a few people, and just including relatives that I do have now that have taken vaccines and have caused that. So there probably is. I mean, the drugs are drugs,
Yeah.
So they're gonna cause problems in the body, and it can come in different forms. It might come into a form of dementia. It might be something else. Yeah. So we talked about the LED lights, and I said free fat is not the answer. So obviously, fats, when I'm talking about fats, I'm not talking about starting to eat saturated, lard or anything like that. So, but for instance, a lot of people don't like eggs, and I know we all talk about eggs and eggs being bad for you. Eggs are actually very good for the brain. A lot of people stay away from it and reduce it, but eggs are good for the brain. Obviously, you don't overindulge in the eggs, but there's been studies done on people who have lived well over 100 years, meaning like 120 years, and all of them say that they eat eggs. So, and also, obviously, nuts, walnuts, excellent, avocados, coconut. So don't skimp on, the fat foods. Your body cannot absorb certain things, and you're going to end up deficient in there. Frank and I have a very good friend, and for years she was absolute solid vegan, and I believe that she's only in her maybe early 60s, and she has severe Alzheimer's, and she had to be put into a home by her fiance. She was about to get married, that dream just went away, and it was so sad to see. It was really sad. And I know for sure that she did not do any free fat. So, and you know, sometimes we do take the counsels and sometimes we misunderstand them. So we should always be careful. And also remember that when God intends for health, He intends us to be healthy. Amen. Our diet is not supposed to do us in. Our diet is not supposed to put us in the grave. It's not supposed to put us, we're supposed to always be balanced. And that's why the Spirit of Prophecy says that you can't prescribe one diet for a person.
That's true. That's true.
You cannot. There are statements in the Spirit of Prophecy that say some people thrive on milk. Some people are absolutely allergic to milk and they shouldn't touch it. It's like poison to them. But some people do thrive on it. And so you have to, between you and God, you have to decide what your body needs. The Spirit of Prophecy, Ellen White says that when you feel something missing in your body, to find what it is and to put it back.
Oh, man.
So we can't just say, well, I read this book, and then the book says that never to eat this thing again. Because if you, for instance, let's just say that you removed beans from your diet, and then your body starts going down. Then obviously your body needs beans, right? Yeah. So that's kind of how you have to think about it. We have to learn how to be more in tune with our body. We have to learn all of those things. And so I had to learn from my own body. Like for instance, I'm allergic to certain foods that I realized when I was a kid, I didn't like those foods. When I got older, I started eating them and I started having all sorts of digestive issues. And I was just like, what's going on? And it turned out that the foods that I didn't like as a kid, I was allergic to all the time. So I just took those out of my diet. They were healthy foods, things like tomatoes. Tomatoes are good for you, but they're poison to other people, right? Okay, so if you're already experiencing cognitive decline, because you might be, maybe we're feeling like we're having some memory issues, the Bredesen protocol, and this is a doctor who created this one, and you want to take a picture of it because you can Google it and kind of look it up. He has a program that has shown a lot of success in the treatment of Alzheimer's, especially in some of the more earlier stages. And he incorporates diet, lifestyle changes, sleep, oral hygiene, kind of a lot of stuff we talked about, stress reduction, gut health, brain stimulation. He has this whole program, and so it's a very successful program. He works specifically with Alzheimer and dementia patients. All right, cancer. This is another one that pretty much touches everyone. Who doesn't know someone who has not had cancer or died of cancer or have had cancer themselves and recovered from it? I'm not going to go into all the details of all the different cancers and all that stuff. We can always, we're just talking about the remedies. So the first things first is, why do I have don't wait for confirmation? Yeah. So we talked about being in your body. If you feel something and you feel a misbalance or you find a lump or something like that, you can start doing some natural stuff now. Sometimes it takes months to get appointments. Sometimes it might take months to get a confirmation. You're losing ground. Some cancers spread very quickly. So by the time you find something and then you get your diagnosis, you might be 3, 4, 5, 6 months down the road with cancer growing you. And cancer grows very quickly. It's abnormal cells. They grow very, very fast. They grow faster than your normal cells. So that's why I put this statement up here. Once you don't wait for confirmation. When you feel that, start correcting the imbalance in your body. Of course, stop eating sugar. Cancer loves sugar.
Which kind of sugar?
White sugar, brown sugar, turbinado sugar. Stop eating sugar. all sugars. You can use honey. You can use honey. You can use a little bit of maple syrup. Honey is probably the safest to use. You can probably use dates. I haven't seen anything that would suggest that you couldn't use dates. I don't know about agave. I would probably not use it, but I'm not 100% sure.
Stevia?
I don't know about stevia either, but it's processed, so you probably want to stay away from something that processed at that point. So if you want to slow down that cancer, if you find something, you're gonna have to lay off the sugar. And remember, sugar is in a lot of different foods, so that's gonna be a big one. Obviously, stop drinking alcohol, stop eating the unclean foods, find a way to de-stress, start working with your doctor to get off the drugs, and then a note here that when you do a natural healing plan specifically for cancer, you want to do the whole entire plan. Cancer is not something to play around with. We've known people who died of cancer trying to do it naturally, and they were just doing a little bit of juicing here. That's not the way it works. This is a serious disease, and it requires a very specific protocol. And if you're working with somebody and they don't know what they're doing, you need to get away from them. Okay, so I'm going to talk about two proven main protocols for cancer and how to handle cancer naturally. One is the SIAC protocol, and one is the Gerson protocol. So about the SIAC. So the SIAC is a tea-based protocol. It was founded by a nurse in Canada, Rain Case, and she cured, I think, hundreds of patients with this tea. It was a tea she got from an Ojibwe Indian chief in Canada that he used. His tea was significantly stronger. I mean, it'll probably shut your kidneys down if you used the way he did it. So she kind of balanced it out a little bit there. It's an excellent tea. 8 simple herbs. So blessed thistle, burdock root, kelp, red clover, sheep sorrel, slippery elm bark, Turkish rhubarb, and watercress. This is a tea that you can either make it yourself. Oh, I heard that. I heard it. Okay. So you can either buy this yourself or you can make it yourself. So if you buy it, this is I don't generally endorse brands, but this is the one that you're going to want to get, which is fluorescence. So it's got all those herbs in there. It's expensive. So if you are going to use it for treating your body, you're going to go broke doing this. So you're going to want to make it yourself.
Okay, yeah, so we can grow the herbs.
And and so you can buy, and I ended up forgetting it at home. I was going to bring up the bag of dried herbs.
Yeah, I bought some burdock powder recently. The other ones I'm not.
You're going to want to buy it pre-mixed because it's a very specific formula, and it's very specific. The different herbs, they're not all going to be the same. So you want to, there's companies that buy it, and I have handouts up here that has the website where you could find those. So the dried SIAC herbs, it's very easy to make. I make it myself at home. So it's basically a 1/4 cup of the dried herb to a quart of water. You boil it for 10 minutes, you cover it, and you set it on your stove for 12 hours. And then in the morning, you put it in a jar, you refrigerate it, and then you drink. It depends on what your condition is. So if you're just drinking it just for maintaining your body and just for general health, you could do about maybe 2 ounces in some warm water a day. If you have a more serious ailment that you're trying to get rid of, then you want to do like about 3 ounces 3 times a day. People who are decided to maybe do the chemotherapy and radiation, they're going to want to bump that up to probably about 6 ounces.
Wow.
And as far as I know and I understand, it doesn't interfere with chemotherapy. It's not going to have a negative effect with that. Any questions on the SIAC?
created that. I think that name is her name backwards.
It is. It's her last name backwards.
Cassie, like the something like,
Yeah, her last name is Case.
yeah.
Yeah,
backwards,
so,
yeah.
yeah. And she was a nurse. She lived to, I think she was like 90-something years old. But it was a great work that she did. She endured a lot of hardship, which is standard when, especially with cancer, when you have a doctor or a nurse that decides to start doing this type of work, they're going to be targeted. And she went through a lot. So that's the SEAC. The second one is Gerson. That's Dr. Max Gerson. And he created the Gerson protocol. He also went through quite a bit of stuff. They basically ended up running him out of the country. So the Gerson clinics are all in Mexico now. You can sign up, I believe, in California, and then you have to go across the border for treatment. If you can do it yourself, but it's a very intense program, and most likely you're going to need somebody to help you with it at home. It's very intense.
Yeah, wow.
So the Gerson protocol, the basics of this is using fresh, raw juices. It's a high potassium, no salt, organic only foods, organic coffee enemas, and we'll talk about the coffee enemas, and then nutritional supplements. So the coffee enemas, so it's interesting how God works, because we're not supposed to drink coffee, and coffee is horrible in our bodies. But when you do a coffee enema, the effect is completely different in the body. It is not as stimulating, it's not damaging, and it actually flushes the liver. And if you have cancer, or you already have that tumor, and you're doing the Gerson, if you don't do the coffee enema, you're gonna die, because your liver is gonna get overloaded with toxins. And so you have to keep it flushed. So that's the part of the coffee enema. And so, and then just a quick, I'm not gonna pass this around, but this book here, The Gerson Therapy for Those Dying of Cancer. So this is published by Harvest Time, a Seventh-day Adventist publisher, Vance Farrell. I don't know if it's still available, but I think it's online. And he has the entire protocol in here. If you didn't want to get this one, here's the Gerson Therapy. This is by Charlotte Gerson, who's Max Gerson's daughter. She recently died. She was like, I think, 98 years old. So these two books, they will have basically everything that you would need to do that. Any questions on the Gerson one before we go a little bit further into it?
Wow, that's amazing.
So this one, 13 glasses of fresh vegetable juice a day.
Wow.
Like I said, it's a lot of work. You're gonna need a really big refrigerator, probably a second refrigerator, and you're gonna do a lot of shopping. So this 13 glasses, they generally want you to juice them fresh before you drink it. They also know it's not practical to do that for everyone. So you can juice it and then refrigerate it. But if you're in a more serious state of cancer, you're gonna wanna get a really good juicer and have it set up to get those juices cranking. Yes? Until it goes away. So a lot of people, from what I've read with the Gerson therapy, I think about a year or to 3, it could be a year to 3 years. Some people much faster. Yeah, I've seen where some people, they've seen results in 6 months.
Amen, wow.
So it just depends on the condition of the body. It definitely depends on if you have taken cancer treatments before. So if you've taken cancer treatments before, it's gonna be a little bit more, because your body has more toxins. If you put chemotherapy and stuff in the body, then it's just got all that more to detox and stuff like that. So it just depends on that, but generally about that. And with the SEAC, it's about the same, 6 months to 2 to 3 years. Yeah. So the vegetable juices is daily. So the vegetable juices, basically carrots, beets. You can juice anything. I mean, we do fresh juices all the time. And I juice carrots, beets, broccoli, cabbage, bell peppers, kale, parsley, red dandelion. If it's a vegetable that's in the fridge, I put it in. And, you know, and I can definitely feel a difference. The fresh fruit juices, the Gerson therapy recommends doing apple and carrot.
CC.
So the brand of coffee, so you want, it's an organic coffee, and you don't want the darker roast, you want a lighter roast, because the darker it is, the less you're gonna have of the compounds that your body needs to cleanse. Yeah.
So we should stock up on coffee beans.
Yes, and you wanna grind them fresh, so you wanna buy just the beans, and then just stick it in your blender, and it's made differently. So the coffee enema, I'll tell you how to make it. So the coffee enema, it's not made the way you drink coffee. So you don't have to get a coffee maker. So basically you put, let's see if I can remember, 3 tablespoons of coffee into a quart of spring water. You boil it uncovered for 5 minutes, and then you boil it covered, you lower it for 10 minutes, and you boil it for an additional 10 to 15 minutes, I believe. And so that's how you make it. So it's totally different. Then you strain it, you put it in a jar, you let it cool till body temperature, and then you can do the enema.
What if you don't have spring water?
Well, you want to buy spring water or distilled water to do it. You don't want to use tap water.
And you just use your filtered water?
You can use filtered water. Yeah, you just don't want to use, you don't want to put all that stuff in your body. Yeah.
Sharon,
Yes,
and you,
the coffee
yeah, the
enemas.
coffee enema, yeah. You have to lay on your right side.
Yes.
You also with your knees up, you know, yeah, and hold it in there for 15 minutes, you know,
Thank you, Idel.
yeah.
Let's see, oatmeal, that's pretty big on the Gerson diet, and Hippocrates soup, and that's also in the Vance Farrell book. The Hippocrates soup basically is a soup that actually Hippocrates used to give people long ago, and it's just a mixture of like potatoes and kohlrabi, you know, just all the root vegetables mixed in.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's got absolutely no salt in there. I made it once. It's the most blandest soup you would ever have in your life. But you could tell that it's good for you. So herbs, there's actually none very specific to the Gerson therapy. The lifestyle, of course, you have the frequent coffee enemas, exercising of the body, the same thing with the brain, the lights issue. You need a high quality juicer. So one thing that Gerson did see was that the regular juicers that you get in the store, which is called a centrifugal juicer, it's got that produces a very low quality juice, and you want to get a juice press. So the main one that they typically recommend is what is that one? It's the what's it called?
Vitamix?
No, it's not the Vitamix. That other one. Norwalk. No, it's not Norwalk. Does somebody know the name of that juicer? It's the one that presses. It's a real pain to use. No, it's not that one. It just crossed my mind. But was it the Norwalk? Okay, it was the Norwalk.
Sharon, you
Yes.
can also use a masticating one that masticates like the Champion.
Yes.
You can use that one too.
So you can use the Champion, you can use the Norwalk, and there's some other ones out there. Just don't get the absolute cheapest one. It heats up the juice, and it doesn't give a good quality juice.
I've been using the Omega, it's very slow.
The Omega?
But I see the difference between this and the other one.
Oh, okay.
Omega, it's slow masticated.
Okay, that's good to know. I don't think I've heard of that one.
Warm up the juice, yes.
Okay.
I've been using that.
And supplements, supportive family. Of course, you have to have a supportive family using the Gerson. You can't have any stress when you have a disease like cancer. So if you're trying to do this and then somebody's naysaying, that doesn't help you. So it's really good to have a supportive family, and then somebody that'll help you do all this juicing and all this other stuff, you know. So supplements for cancer, well, there's a flax oil, which is kind of standard with everything. This is an immune optimizer. So basically, with cancer, your immune system is going to be very low. And it's not an accident. So what cancer does is it's like a parasite in the body. It's actually eating all your nutrients. So you're eating, but the cancer is eating it, and then your body's not getting it. A lot of cancer patients die because their immune system fails because they're starving to death. And so you have to try to keep the immune system up. So this is immune. This has like all of the lion's mane and the turkey tail, mushrooms and stuff like that. Also, CoQ10, I talked about the doctor's best. This is a must for cancer as well. And this is not stuff he has on here, but this is just stuff that you should have. Podiarco tea. Yeah, this is a very good cancer tea that should be drunk. There's another one called chaparral, which is a stronger version of this, which is not generally recommended because it can cause liver damage, but this one is a lot milder. And it'll kind of do the same thing.
Okay, chaparral, no chaparral.
Yeah, you want to stay away from the chaparral. And so on the Gerson one, he does have people on flaxseed oil, on vitamin C, on royal jelly, which comes from bees, and then the bee pollen. And then he does have them on glandulars. So glandulars, of course, is animal. Generally, I think he has them on beef liver and beef pancreas. And so the pancreas is an interesting one. So the pancreas enzymes actually eat the cancer.
Wow.
So that's, you know, we're doing the vegetarian, but you might have to eat that now, the clean stuff, and not die. So you want to balance out those things.
They said the granule, also the liver,
Yeah,
beef liver,
it's a glandular, yeah.
cat liver, whose liver?
Calf,
Yeah, whose liver is it?
it's a beef liver.
Okay, it's just beef liver.
Yeah,
Cow liver.
cow,
Preferred that it's calf.
yeah.
The younger.
Now, if you go to just any clinic, they're going to try to give you pork enzyme. So you have to be clear if you decide to do that, else you're going to end up getting the wrong thing.
All of them that want to can provide you with
Yeah.
either a lamb, glandulars from lamb, clean lamb like sheep, or they can provide them from calf or beef cows.
Organic.
If you're
Yeah.
involved in this, you have to be clear
And you have to be
specify
clear. And then you obviously you want to get the highest quality grass-fed animals if you're going to do that. So specifically for certain cancers, and these are just kind of some honorable mentions, pancreatic cancer. That's a death sentence for when people hear that. And pancreatic cancer has a quote-unquote survival rate of about 13%. Most people who get it, they give them the treatment and they die. Nicholas Gonzalez, he cures pancreatic cancer all the time. He just passed away last year. And so he owned a clinic in New York City, and he does cure pancreatic cancer. And once again, he's been under fire for a long time with the AMA all over him and whatnot. So the reason why I put a modified Gonzalez protocol is because they're going to just be using pork enzymes and glandulars. So that's something that basically you'd be like, no, I'm Seventh-day Adventist, or I just don't eat pork, blah, 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 and so I need the beef one or whatever. So, but there is hope. I mean, somebody, if they tells you pancreatic cancer, sometimes the way that they deliver the news alone can literally destroy someone's hope and immune system. And so that's something that can do that. So if they tell you that, just be like, there is a way. I can solve this. And the Gonzalez protocol, it is a lot of pancreatic enzymes that they give people. I mean, I'm talking about probably like 100 or 50 pills a day of this. So it's pretty intense. So the brain cancer, basically therapies that don't induce swelling, because there are certain natural therapies that it swells up before it goes down. Obviously, if you have brain cancer and your brain swells, you're not going to be around. So one of the main therapies that works well with the brain is the Select Budwig protocol. That I don't have it up here. So the Select Budwig protocol, basically, it involves different minerals and cod liver and flaxseed oil and cottage cheese, and it's like this whole blend of things, which doesn't create swelling, and apparently together it works really well. I don't have a lot of experience with that one. And then of course the liver, the Gerson one works best for the liver. When you have liver cancer, they're not going to do a whole lot for you in conventional medicine because everything flushes through your liver. So if your liver is already compromised, they're going to pretty much tell you that you're done for. So in that case, you could definitely want to start doing the Gerson one, which is cleaning out, flushing the liver, and healing that liver. And so I think this is the last slide. Is it? Yeah. So once again, we have to pray. And remember that all healing comes from God. And He gave us all of these things so that we can heal ourselves. He expects us to be intelligent, to use intelligence, and also to take charge of our health individually. Sometimes we just give it to the doctor and say, just tell me. And doctors are great. They have their purpose because they're going to know stuff that we don't know. But ultimately, we're responsible to God. God is going to ask you, what did you do, Tarlene? He's going to ask you specifically, you know? Yeah. So Jeremiah's prayer here, help me, O Lord, heal me, O Lord, and I shall be healed. And you have to believe that. And when you do it, when you do the natural stuff, you have to believe it. Save me and I shall be saved, for thou art my praise. So any questions on anything that we've seen here? Yes?
Where do you go buy this stuff, like Padiarco tea?
That Padiarco tea that's passing around, I got that from Natural Grocers.
Where is that? Oh, that's here
Yeah.
in Oregon.
Yeah, it's everywhere. I mean, pretty much all over Oregon.
On LED lights, you're saying we shouldn't be using them?
I'm saying that they're damaging to the body.
And so you recommend fluorescent lights?
Fluorescent lights are also damaging.
Iridescent light.
Yeah, incandescent lights.
Incandescent light.
Which, like I said, is very difficult to find.
Anymore.
Yeah. And if you can't find it, just reducing your exposure to the lights will help.
Well, there's light bulbs that are natural light. How do they compare?
The full spectrum lights you're talking about. The full spectrum lights are going to be better because they're going to minimize that bright, just that plain bright white light. I mean, that's not natural. If you look at the light around that God has us, it's not just a blue light or just a white light. You know, it's a variation. It's a balance of colors. So when they misbalance these colors, it creates damage to the body. Oh, yes. Yep.
Can you repeat the part where you said that something about meat eating and liver? Can you repeat that?
I didn't get the question.
You were talking about you were talking about what kind of meat to eat. Can you repeat that part?
The liver and stuff.
The liver and the pancreas?
Yeah,
So it's not, I wasn't saying to eat the liver. So basically the glandulars, I mean, it's literally just capsules of freeze-dried pancreas or freeze-dried liver. And obviously this is something that somebody would take if they're having those cancer issues. And specifically known one that helps the cancer is the pancreatic enzymes that are in the pancreas. So basically it goes into the body and it targets those cancer cells and it eats them faster than they can grow, and it gives the body the chance to recover. And so basically even with the Gonzalez, you're basically doing almost all the Gerson stuff. You're doing the health change, diet change, and everything, but you're giving your body a chance because the pancreatic stuff grows so fast that putting those enzymes in there, it'll eat that up and then it'll give your body a chance to recover.
But isn't the liver full of blood?
The liver, when you buy it, so you're not just buying a slab of liver to do this. So the liver itself, when you buy the glandular, it's dehydrated.
But
and
it still was blood. I mean, even if it is dehydrated.
I don't know if they can dehydrate it with blood, but I don't know the answer to that.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's strange.
Jonah had a question.
I
And he talks about damages done by inoculations and
By vaccines.
vaccines.
Yeah.
It was really I got his DVDs. It's really interesting.
Yeah, he was an expert on that, and I've seen all of his stuff. It was, yeah, his stuff is amazing. Yeah, once you watch it, you just know that there's just certain things you wouldn't put in your body again. Yeah. Any more questions, Darlene? Oh. Thanks, Daniel. Oh, there's more, okay.
You know, also Dr. Savory was another one. Very, very well educated by his grandmother. And he went around and they really just persecuted him,
Yeah.
you know, as well. Also, I would like to know, all these things you're talking about, how do we implement them into the health centers, our lifestyle centers, our medical missionary centers that we're told to open? How do we implement these into them?
Well, I don't think I know the answer to how you would implement it. I think it would just depend on whoever's opening their clinic and what they decide to do. I know a lot, I mean.
And so another thing with the pancreas and the enzymes and stuff like that you were talking about, what is comparable to the pancreatic enzymes that they're using for liver?
That's a good
and stuff like
question.
that?
And
with
as
the-
far
with
as I
the-
know, with cancer, probably nothing.
So there's got to be some kind of herb out there. That's what I'm saying.
There's lots of herbs. I mean, there's
That's
lots of
comparable.
herbs that people use.
Yeah, that are just
and
as
like you
powerful.
don't have to use the Gonzalez protocol.
Yeah.
With you can try the Gerson one. I mean, and people use the Essiac-T.
Yeah.
I don't know how well it works for pancreatic cancer. So it's an individual choice. So our message, of course, in the church is a vegetarian diet,
Yes.
and I know that.
Yeah.
So I'm definitely not pushing that.
Oh, I understand.
However, the main goal of health is to be healthy.
Amen.
And so we also know that God created clean animals that are clean for food as well. So if you use that, you're not violating the Bible to use beef glandulars. So just keep that in mind.
Yeah. So basically, I'm not against that.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, if you cannot get lamb or beef, you know, whatever like that, what herbs are equal, just as powerful out there? That's what I'm asking.
Frank might have the answer to that.
When you change natural substances in the body, no two natural substances are equal to each other. So for example, if you use golden seal, which is a natural vegetable herb, and you use the root powder, when you take it as a dried powder, it has a different effect on your body than it does if you take it, for instance, in a hot water tea. And that has a different effect from just taking the fresh root and chopping it up and eating slices. So no two natural substances are perfectly equal to each other. So I wouldn't say that there's an herb or vegetarian substitute that's equal to the glandulars, but there are some things that you probably can consider using as alternatives. So bromelain is a concentrated enzyme that comes out of pineapples, and it breaks down protein in a similar way to what those pancreatic glandulars do. So you have enzymes from papaya, which is called papain, that you can buy, and other forms of vegetable digestive enzymes. What these people are using with those glandulars is, in some cases, there are similarities between cancer tumors and little growing forms inside the human body, like embryos. And what they discovered is that there's a certain enzyme that is used to slow down the growth of embryos naturally that the body uses, and that's where they got the idea to use the similar protein digestive enzymes from the glandulars. So a possible alternative would be high doses of bromelain and perhaps high doses of papain, which comes from papaya. So those are plant-based enzymes that also digest protein, and they might work similarly in the body.
Okay.
But they would not be exactly equal.
Oh, yeah, okay. I just want the strength. I'm looking for the strength of it to be effective as that is effective.
Whether they will be equal, I don't know, but
Yeah.
they can be used in addition to and probably in place of.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Any more questions? Yes, Ruta.
So about this supplement for the cancer, does that work for all cancer or is it just certain type of
Which one?
cancer? The supplement that you had over there for cancer?
You're talking about the fluorescence?
No, I think it was the orange. Was it I think it was this one.
I can't see. Is that the one with the mushrooms?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that one, you would just use it with any protocol that you're doing for cancer because it's basically an immune enhancer.
But for any.
Yes, that one would work for anything. Yeah,
All right, thank you.
yeah. I mean, it doesn't even have to just use for cancer. If you generally have a low immune system, I mean, I would recommend taking it.
Okay,
Yeah.
nice.
Kenny?
You have some handouts?
I do. I don't have enough though. I only have 20. So unless you really, if you don't really need it, then yeah. Or I can keep one up here for someone to take pictures.
Yeah. I can help hand out.
Yeah.
One per family? Is that good? One per family? Yeah. You guys are related.
Yeah.
You guys are.
And so if we don't have any, well, Tarlene is passing. If we don't have any more questions, really appreciate you guys coming out. I'm available for any questions up here. If you want to take a closer look at some of the supplements or had any questions about it, just come on up.
That was me at treatment back.
Is this the one you were talking about? Oh, yeah, this is the one.
The copper?
Yeah.
Yeah. Take this out.
Talk repeatedly and vigorously as the breath is beginning. And then 1.5 teaspoons of cayenne in water. No water, cayenne.
Well, I figured I'll just leave this one up here and they can take a picture with their phone.
Do you have access to the office?
Do you have a key? Do you want? Do you
We
need a
could
key?
make a couple copies.
Okay. Yeah. Do you need a key?
How's the handout doing? I can make some copies. How many copies do we need? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
And 3 here.
Okay, I'll make 10. Think that'll work, guys? Okay. Okay.
Sorry, Matthew, go grab my bag.
You can still talk in this if you want.